Hi, my name is Morgan. I'm going to be talking about my essay proposal. The main focus of my essay is going to be the philosophy of composition by Edgar Allan Poe and how it connects to his poem The Raven. I found I chose this question or topic because I found his writing really interesting, and just kind of like the dark gothy like way he presents his writing was really interesting to me. And he also has a really specific image of himself, and I think the essay ties a lot into that. Or sorry, not the essay, like the poem, but also my essay will. But um basically what had me so interested is that he explains that he used a very specific formula to build this poem, and it wasn't based off his own emotions, but reading the essay it feels like a true human emotion, not like a formula. Like, you could say I'm sad, but when you put it in the depth that he puts it, it doesn't feel like it was just made for people to feel that way. Like, I believed he felt that way when writing it. Like, almost like it's too good to be true, or like it's too perfect to be planned. I believe Poe's essay isn't really a true behind the scenes look. And it's a performance that he was building a persona around, like the cold, calculated artist that he makes his writing and him present. He wanted to seem as someone who could control emotion with reason, but I don't think that's a full story. I argue that real emotion and creativity play a bigger role in The Raven. Some points I think support that is in The Raven, the narrator becomes more and more desperate, and his questions to the Raven go from very small to very personally, like, will I see Lenore in heaven? And I think questions like that build the emotion, and it feels raw and intense, like that's something that someone would genuinely feel just like he would. As well, the philosophy of composition was published after The Raven became popular. He might have written it to claim full control over like the poem's success. Like, look how smart I am. This was all intentional, instead of admitting that some parts were accidental or like inspired by his life. And my last main point is most writers describe the creative process as like messy and emotional and trial and error, but his, like, the way he explains it is it was logical and it was planned, and there was no trial and error. It was this way and it will be this way, which I think is very weird because most writers don't get it first try, and they take a long, even me, like writing an essay, it takes me hundreds of tries to like sometimes figure out a sentence. So I think to write a poem to this extent on the first try using a formula is really hard for me to believe. So considering this, I think he built his image through this essay of being this genius and not just luck driven. And to me, this raised two big questions. Can art be built like a machine or like a formula? And two, does emotion and inspiration matter more than a formula? So those are two things I want to focus on in my essay, because I do not think art can be built like a machine. I don't think there's a rule book to it, and I don't think there's structure to art. I think art comes in so many different forms, whereas a machine is built by instructions. There's one way to do it, and there's a right and a wrong way to do it, and I don't think there's a right and a wrong way to do art. So, and does emotion and inspiration matter? I think it does, because how are you supposed to get your reader to connect to your writing if it's just all the same? If all art is done the same, how are people who have different nationalities, different beliefs, supposed to connect to different art if it's all the same? So I do think that great art can't be built like a machine, and emotion and inspiration matter a lot more than the process. I think they matter within the end result a lot more. So my thesis is Poe's philosophy of composition is less a writing manual and more a publicity tool. And it's not just about how The Raven was made, it's about how Poe wanted people to think it was made. I believe the real story involves more feeling and messiness than he is willing to admit.